Welcome to Billboard Central with Glenn and Chloe. Yes.
And
Insert advertisement.
$10 a day.
Taking on sponsors. If you would like to advertise on this space, hit me up.
Exclusive food items only.
That's called a snack board.
Snack board. Yep, there we go. Human snack board.
Hey, Chloe, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Hello to everybody. This is the Up Late video with Glenn and Chloe. We do this every week. It's a bit of a supplementary, show in addition to the Good Movie Monday podcast that we do on the Monday. And you, of course, come from a podcast yourself.
I
Movie
do.
Night with the Richie Girls.
I do. Yep. We're on a bit of a sabbatical at the moment, but hopefully getting back into it really soon. And I'm excited.
I love your show.
Do you?
Yeah, it's good.
It's a lot of Mum and I just bickering at each other and swearing at each other. But, we get to the point eventually.
It's fun as. I love it. Anyway, we just gonna ramble some shit tonight and talk about movies. What mug are you rocking tonight?
I'm rocking some pastel ferns.
Pastel ferns.
Yeah, good old Kmart mug.
It's a good name for a band, Pastel Ferns.
That is a good name for a band. I love that game. When you hear someone say something really odd, you're like, oh, that's a good band name.
Yeah, that's probably how Rascal Flatts got their name.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's how a lot of bands got their names.
Came up, yeah.
Pastel Ferns.
Yep.
When I start my girl band, that'll be what it's called.
Excellent. I'm sure there's a euphemism there to be had.
Someone will find something somewhere.
Yeah. I'd just get mine from the camp and fishing department from Kmart, and I'll call myself Tackle Happy.
We can all find the euphemism in that one, I think. We don't need to think about that one too hard.
Shit. I think I stole Mick Malloy's thunder there. Have you got anything to talk about this week?
I am excited to watch a couple of movies this week, actually. I'll probably watch them over the next couple of nights or on the weekend. But, actually, I don't know if I'll be able to watch one of them. But Guilty, the new Jake Gyllenhaal one, I'm pretty excited to watch that. That looks pretty good.
Can't bring myself to watch that one. I will get to it eventually, but I think we've had that discussion before. The original one was my favorite film of 2016.
Maybe, yeah.
And just because I love it so much, like it's a perfect film in my mind. I can't imagine it being redone any differently. So the fact I already know all the intricacies of it, I'm not sure I particularly care to revisit.
I wonder why they remade it. So
because so many people don't watch foreign films, and so I mean there's so many like American films that are adapted from foreign films that you have no idea.
Yeah.
For example, famous ones like 3 Men and a Baby, Birdcage, stuff like that.
Birdcage, really?
Yeah. It's called like La Trop Follies or something like that.
Yeah,
French
right.
film. That loads, and half of the time we've never seen them, the originals. But just when you do happen to catch an original, it's quite often so much better that you just don't want to tarnish it. But if you go into the new one fresh, then you're probably going to love it.
I hope so. I mean, there's not a lot that I don't like of Jake Gyllenhaal. He's like up the top there for me with so like extremely adaptable. So I enjoy most of his work. I'm pretty pumped to watch this one actually. So
yeah, he's great. Director's great. So I think you're going to get a really good film. And I'll just get to it later on when expectations and hype is sort of a bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Tepid.
Yep.
What else? Anything else you want to?
I think this one's only coming out of the movies at the moment, but it's the new, I'm going to forget his name now, Peter Dinklage. What's his new one?
I was going to bring this up, Serrano.
Yeah. Ooh.
There's cameo.
That's Freddie. Say hi, Freddie.
Plenty of euphemisms to be had there too.
You're YouTube famous now, Freddie. He'll love that. Such an attention-seeking whore, this cat.
Already been in one of our videos eating pizza.
Oh yeah. Yep. Loves the attention.
Serrano.
Serrano, is it? It looks really good. Really good.
Interesting. Like I am confused. No, wrong word. I'm perplexed by this one. It doesn't instantly grab me,
Oh.
but there's something about it. I don't like the period, I think, is what it is. But I like the idea of it being a musical. However, Peter Dinklage doesn't sing a single note in the trailer.
In the trailer, I reckon he definitely does in the movie.
Well, no doubt, but like, don't you think that would be a selling point?
I mean,
or is it too comical to see him? Is it too comical to see a midget singing?
No, he's got a pretty good voice. So, I mean, I think they're kind of saving that as a surprise to people who don't already know that. It could be, or, you know, the story itself carries the trailer, I think. So just having that sort of in the background is a nice sort of little surprise to, you know, the trailer is enough to get people into the movies, and then that keeps it rolling, I think.
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. I do like a good musical, and the director's got a good pedigree. I can't remember what the guy's name is now, but he's made a lot of fantastic films over the last few years. Yeah, cool. That's right up your alley, I'm sure. For
sure. And like you said that you don't quite like the period piece. That's what grabs my attention straight away. That's what I love. Yeah.
I know you do. And my wife loves the period too, so no doubt that'll be one we watch together. It's this particular period that I struggle with, like stuff like Count of Monte Cristo, you know, that kind of Casanova, that kind of period. I don't know what it is about it. I don't do it.
You just don't like Italians, or is that it? You just
Yep, exactly.
No more pasta for you, Glenn.
Nope. I'm done with it.
Oh, so you had that one on your list. That's good that we're on the same page with that.
Yeah. Well, let's really quickly do what we've been doing for the last few weeks. Now that it's October, it's Halloween month. So Halloween is on the tip of everybody's tongue. Have you explored anything further? You've had a huge week, you know, outside of podcasting and whatnot. So I don't expect that you will have caught up with much. But have you dived into anything Halloween-y?
Not so much this week. We decorated the house Halloween-y, but I feel like I've already talked about that. We're not going to talk about that again.
You've shown me a photo of the front of your house.
Yeah.
So
the kids are pretty excited about that, but we haven't watched anything as of yet.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So what about the kids? Like, have you put something on for them and then left them to their own devices or anything like that?
Apart from Blippi, no. My son has watched Goosebumps before.
The TV show or the movie?
The Jack Black one. I think that's the movie. Yeah. So he watched that without my knowledge, basically. And I walked in on him, and he was on his iPad watching it. I go, "Oh, honey," because he was probably only just turned 5. I'm like, "That's are you okay? That might be a bit scary for you." And he's like, "No, I'm okay." I'm like, "All right."
That's the best. That is the best.
Okay.
I remember like when our kids were much younger and we started getting them into the horror stuff, you know, baby steps, little things, you know. And I used to encourage them to sneak movies in behind my back. I would say to the kids, this is the shelf full of horror films, and there's a lot of really grown-up stuff that you shouldn't be watching. But if we're not home and you happen to find one, you know, they'll decide if they can't handle it.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. They he's a pretty good judge, so he wouldn't watch something that scared him too much. He'd turn it off straight away. He's pretty savvy with that kind of stuff. But you know, he's already watched Harry Potter. He's fine with the Dementors and you know, Lupin turning into a werewolf. He's good. So
this is amazing. Makes me smile.
Yeah. Yep. He's a lot braver than I am, and I'll tell you that much. And
they find their own limits, you know. And you know, people like myself, our whole film education was sneaking films behind parents' backs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I did that quite a bit as well. I watched a few movies that weren't quite appropriate for my age group. I had a few friends that worked in video stores, so I was able to just to rent some out on the sly. And you know, when you're younger and you're like, "Oh, this one's got a nipple in it," or something like that. So...
Do you know, like, how bloody frustrating it was as someone that had a video store? As the proprietor who loves movies and loves educating people on movies, or just not educating, but, you know, just showing people new things. When you get a kid in and you're bound by law that you can't give them a certain rating, but you so desperately you're like, I know you can handle this and I know you will love this. Get your parents to come back, you know?
Yeah.
So frustrating.
I got kicked out of a movie because I wasn't quite yet 16. I turned 16 after all of my friends turned 16. I'm in November, so I'm at the end of the year. All of my friends were at the start of the year. So they went and saw an M15 plus movie or an MA15 plus movie, and I still wasn't allowed to because I was 15. So while they went and watched something, I can't even remember what it was now, but I had to go watch Will Ferrell's Kicking and Screaming by myself. And
hey, Robert Duvall's in that. It can't be all bad. Hang on. So you went into another theatre by yourself?
Yes.
But this would have been a multiplex here?
Yep.
Why didn't you just sneak into the other theatre?
Because I'm a goody two-shoes and I would never break the rules.
Even though all your mates are in the other one?
Yep. Wouldn't break the rules. Yep. I'm nothing but a rule follower most of the time, Glenn. Okay.
Well, it conjures a very cute image. You're in there by yourself. Your mates are enjoying. What were your mates watching?
Something gory. I can't remember. I know. I was very disappointed that I had to watch Will Ferrell in probably the worst movie, one of his worst movies I've come across. Don't fight me on that.
No, it's not a great film. I do get a kick out of seeing Robert Duvall in it, though. I think he's pretty funny in there. But the movies I used to sneak into at cinemas when I was younger, like I'd do it by myself. I didn't have mates. I would just take myself to a cinema, like hop on a bus and go to a cinema and watch R-rated movies. I'd just pay for a PG movie and just walk into the R cinema.
That's great. That's when they had all the names above the doors as well, and you knew which one to go into. Yeah, and
it was also a turn of the tides where the ushers were no longer in every cinema door. They were just at the start, where the foyer is, and they'd check your ticket. And after that, you just do what you want.
Do what you wanted, yeah.
Because I did grow up with an usher at every door, and sometimes they would take you to your seat, where a multiplex back then was like 3 or 4 cinemas. And then when they grew into like 10 and 11, 12 sort of complexes, that's when the ushers became like irrelevant. And I snuck in to see like Natural Born Killers and Seven and
oh wow,
great stuff. Yeah,
that's
I remember
great.
I paid for a ticket to see Ace Ventura. I'd already seen Ace Ventura, so I went and watched Natural Born Killers instead.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Such a rule breaker. I don't know what to do with that information. I just if you got caught and got into trouble, what would you do?
That's a good question. I just never did.
That's great. If you can get away with it, man. Why not?
Did you ever watch a movie at home on video and your parents caught you watching it and made you stop?
No. No, that was mostly TV. I wasn't allowed to watch the OC, but I used to watch that without my mum knowing, and she caught me once. And then Big Brother Up Late. I don't know why I wanted to watch that for, but yep.
Nothing like a turkey slap.
Oh, I watched that. Made history.
There's an education for you.
I had no idea what a turkey slap was until that very day. So, and I wish I still didn't know what that was. So
yeah, that's right. Oh, geez.
Yeah, so not so much movies. It was more, some movies, but that was mostly at my friends' houses.
Yeah, it never happened to me. Only once did it ever happen to me. I used to watch a lot of mature stuff. My parents didn't particularly care, but one day I was watching my own Private Idaho, the Gus Van Sant film with River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves.
Oh, okay.
And all about sort of the gay street hustlers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Gus Van Sant. He's a provocateur. And I'm watching this movie. I'm completely fine with it. I can cope with this stuff. Like, I was in my element, but my dad walked in. And let's not forget, this is the 90s, right? This is not now. My dad walks in as River Phoenix is getting a blowjob. And by another guy. And my dad just looked at me and goes, turn it off. I'm like, it's just a blowjob. Like, it's just a blowjob.
We're all grown-ups here, okay?
Yeah. And I said, all right. And I stopped it. And then he went and fucking mowed the lawn or something. I just put it back on.
Parents.
Yeah.
What do they think they're doing?
I know. I guess he found it more confronting than I did. Hilarious.
Yeah. It was a different time.
Definitely. And I look back at that and I laugh. It's funny. But,
I have my friend Dion to thank for a lot of my a lot of my musical love. So he introduced me to things like Wicked and Rent. And, you know, Rent was probably the first sort of, I don't know, provocative thing that I ever kind of watched, and I didn't kind of get it straight away. And I was still like 16, 17. We were in high school. And yeah, I had to watch it and rewatch it and rewatch it to get the themes and to get what was going on, because there was just nothing like it that I'd ever seen before. And so I have my friend Dion, shout out, to thank for introducing me to all that kind of stuff, like Reefer Madness and, you know, all of those sort of musicals that push those boundaries, which I love to these days and are my favorite. So I think that's kind of the most limits I've kind of pushed in terms of that. And even then my mum was fine with it. You know, she's quite progressive.
Yeah.
So
I've listened to your mum on the podcast, the way that, you know, she lets, you know, your brother watch movies and and talks about when you were a kid and stuff. She's very, very liberal with that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of, like, I've always been.
You were prudish on those episodes, and she was like,
I'm so prudish. I really am. She has such a great time with it. The way she used to punish me or try to punish me was she would threaten to take me to the nudie beach with my grandmothers. And that was enough to scare the shit out of me into behaving. So I'm a self-proclaimed prude, and that's how she knows how to control my behavior. So
I love it. That's great. And now we all know.
And now you all know. I mean, put it out for the world to see.
That's great.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I watched Rent not that long ago as well. And, you know, you discover more things about it that you didn't realize beforehand. And that's what I love about musicals as well, is that one thing you won't notice in the song and the theme and the lyrics that you'll notice in another time. And when you're in a different part of your life as well. And I feel like even if the story doesn't appeal to you, with the music it does as well. So it kind of speaks to a whole other set of people as well. I introduced Rent to my sisters, who had never ever seen anything like that as well, and they were absolutely in love with it, and they're not musical people.
Yep.
So I don't know, I think you can really reach a lot of people even if you are putting out that message that you know, is not sort of out there all the time, you know.
Yeah. I struggle a little bit with Rent.
I know you do.
No, I think too. Like, I think it's got that '90s stamp on it that it dates it a little bit too heavily for me. But you know, but that's okay. There's a film similar to it. I don't know if you've seen a musical called Stonewalled. Have you
No,
heard of
I
that
haven't.
one? It's
No.
directed by Roland Emmerich, who, of all people, is the guy that made Independence Day and, you know, Day After Tomorrow, like big disaster movies.
Blockbuster, yeah.
And he made this little independent film about 5 years ago called Stonewall, which is all about the sort of the gay pride movement in the 60s. And yeah,
nice.
That's worth a look. I think you might enjoy that one.
I love directors that can swing back and forth between genres. That's when you know talent. Yeah, you know, they don't just stick to one lane. They can go anywhere. You know.
This didn't really play out well for him though, because the film's forgotten. No one knows it, but
But I mean, he still did it. You know, he was
passion project.
He was still proud enough to make that and put his time and effort into it. So I mean, even if it didn't do too well, he took the time out of his life to make something that was important to him. So
I particularly love it when these directors do these things, just sort of as an in between project. Like, you know, there's, you know, a bit of time between blockbusters. Hey, I've got 6 months. Let's make a little film.
Yeah. You know, I was listening to another podcast this week, and they interviewed Jeff Daniels, and I'd never kind of heard interviews or seen interviews with him before. And he's very kind of straight-laced, and I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that from him. And like, just the range of stuff that he's done, you know, he's always wanted to be really good at his craft, he said. So he's done comedies, and he's done, you know, like things like The Newsroom and all that kind of stuff. It really surprised me how straight-laced he was, and that he wasn't sort of as comedic as I thought he was, because he does it so well.
I've got a lot of time for him. I do love him, but apparently he's really hard work if you're a new actor on set with him, because he sort of, you know, he sort of essentially pisses on you like he's marking his territory, and he's like, you know, if you can't get your lines right, then you're not worthy of my time, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, I guess,
I can get that vibe from him, honestly, through this interview. I did get that kind of vibe.
He he's gotten to a point where he's only going to work with real professionals.
Right.
Like, you've got to meet his standard. But having said that, like, you go back through his career long before he became like known as a serious actor through stuff like The Newsroom and various other things. He's in one of the greatest sort of Halloween theme movies of all time, Arachnophobia. Like, that to me
I'll never watch that.
That is prime Jeff Daniels. That's one I'd recommend you try with your kids in about 5 years' time.
No, I'll never watch that.
It's such a great film. PG. It's just the perfect PG horror film.
I will never watch it. I'm telling you now, I will never watch it. I can't even go into a room if it's got a Daddy Long Legs in it. I will never watch it. I can't even watch Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets when they're in the forest with Aragog. Can't watch it.
So, like, that big, fat, fucking hairy bastard behind you, like, on the wall.
Stop that. No. If you don't want me to sleep for 3 days, just tell me there's a spider in my room somewhere that you saw and you can't find it anymore.
I was driving my car the other day. This is not a big Huntsman story or anything like that, but I'm driving the car and I'm just windows down, enjoying the breeze. And I just noticed like something in the corner of my eye. And those tiny little jumping spiders? Those little ones?
No.
But hang on, like, he's totally like Cowabunga dude. Like, he's fucking holding on to this little web and he's just like, he's fucking enjoying it. And every time I get to a traffic light, he'd bring himself back up to the mirror. And then as I drive off, he'd go like, woo! Fucking hang 10. Like, what a cool dude.
Oh, super cool. Did you ever see my stories about the huntsman in my car?
I think I might have.
Yeah.
Recap.
So I was at a shopping center with one of my best friends and I went to go I'd been to Kmart, so obviously I'd bought quite a lot. I went to go put it into the back seat and I opened up the car and there was a huntsman probably about this big on the back seat on the floor. And then I screamed and I ran. And then I started crying. And then I went to go back to shut the door and it had disappeared. And then I couldn't find it. And I looked everywhere. And then I got strangers from the car park to come into my car and to look in my car to try and find the huntsman. And they couldn't find it. And then I had to drive home. And I cried the entire way. And my best friend was trying to talk to me and I said, you need to shut the fuck up. I can't concentrate on the road and not getting eaten right now. So that's my story. And yes, I'm a little bit crazy.
No, you're not crazy.
Yes.
I thought I had potentially heard a murder one night at like midnight at my house. And all it was my best friend was coming over because she would come over every week and we'd watch like, Tales from the Crypt or something like that. And it was just that she went to open the side door and there was a huntsman on the handle and she didn't know until she touched it. And the blood-curdled scream, my mum came out and literally thought someone had been knifed to death. Like, no, it's just she's just put her hand on a spider.
You know what would make a really good horror movie?
Yeah.
So my grandmother grew up in Papua New Guinea. Write this down for your stories. And apparently the centipedes there get like this sort of thick and like huge. And when she used to live there, she was a teenager. So this was in the 60s. And one was on her roof and fell into her bed and she rolled over and squished it when she was asleep. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. She has some great stories like that. Gross.
All right, would you like to move on?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
We've got 5 more minutes. Hey, did you see the image of Timothée Chalamet as Wonka?
I did. He looks like when the Muppets did like the Christmas Story.
Yeah.
And what's the one with the really long blue nose?
Gonzo.
Yeah. They look kind of similar. Do they not?
Now you've said that.
No, I like Timothée Chalamet. I think he might do actually a really good job.
Well, as I've said before, I don't like Timothée Chalamet at all, but I do think he fits the mold very well. He does look like a very young Gene Wilder.
Yeah. Yep.
He's kind of got that wiry kind of eccentricness.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about him. I always think he's not American, and then he talks and he's American, but I think it's his name and the way he looks very European. So I figure, like I'm waiting for an accent to come out of his mouth every time he talks.
Look,
but
as much as I don't like him, I can concede there's charisma there. Like he's got a lot of
charisma.
Talent.
That's it. Yeah, like a charm.
I think he's the closest we've probably gotten to like a modern day James Dean.
I can see that. Yeah. Yep.
Because no other actor before, maybe young Brad Pitt, like really young Brad Pitt, but like I just think Timothée Chalamet does have that quality to him. Yeah, and he's a good actor. I just, some people you just can't watch. Some people they rub you the wrong way.
Yeah. Yep. I have people like that. Don't ask me to name them now, but yeah, I do have people like that. It used to be Woody Harrelson. I can never watch Woody Harrelson. He freaked me out. And then Zombieland happened, and I loved him after that. But yeah, there are a few that I can't watch. Of course,
my gen probably grew up with him on Cheers, and he was just that dumb idiot from Cheers.
I didn't know he was on Cheers.
Yeah, and then he was like a regular, and then came along White Men Can't Jump, and suddenly like, this guy is a serious actor? This is weird. And then Natural Born Killers, and it blew it all out of the water, and managed to reference that twice on this video.
Look at you go. Sneak it in there. Subliminal messages.
How long have we got? I got a couple more things.
Yeah.
Have you heard that Rob Zombie is making the Munsters? He's doing a Munsters film.
Really? Okay.
Which is exciting, and he's doing it in a PG kind of way. It's not going to be like a Rob Zombie horror film.
Oh, I was going to say Rob Zombie. Okay.
A lot of people don't know. Before he was a rock and roller, before he was a director, he was a set designer for kids' television.
Really?
Yeah, so Pee Wee Herman, he did set design for that. I think he did some other kids show before that, but the Munsters just fits him perfectly. And what I love about this is he's bringing the Punk Rods back, which was in the TV show. Herman Munster used to race little hot rods, like go-kart hot rods.
Yeah, right.
He's bringing that back, and that's just got the fans really excited, particularly this one. Like, I'm very keen.
Well, that's the thing. When you bring like authenticity back into it and like original story back into it, it gets the fans excited, because who else are you making it for?
Yeah.
You know,
and I think he's the perfect director to do the Munsters, because his music videos for years were like had Munster stuff infused into them and various Universal monster things. And anyway, Munsters, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be good. That I hadn't heard that, so that's pretty interesting.
And are you a fan of Trainspotting?
Look, I've tried to watch it because Ewan McGregor does things for me, and I can't. I don't know. I'll have to try it again. It's the one on the list. It's an iconic movie that everybody loves, but you just can't seem to get into it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the wrong time.
I love it. I think it's great. I do really like part 2 as well. But Begbie, the Robert Carlyle character, who's the most violent and repulsive character in the entire movie, is getting his own series called The Blade Artist, which is
okay,
weird.
So what makes him the most vile?
Oh, he's the one that has no conscience. He's just a hardened criminal. He will glass you in the face for no reason. Like you just get him in the wrong mood, and that's the kind of character he is.
Well, that would make for an interesting TV show.
There's a great scene. There's a great scene in the first film where they're in a pub, and he's done. He's ready to go. So he just lobs a stein, like a beer stein, over his shoulder and cops some chick in the face, and like smashes her face. So he doesn't care. He just keeps walking. That's the kind of character he is. And he's a great character, but he's repulsive. And the new series is going to be based off one of the sequel books where he is kind of reformed and is a family man living in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
So, but I don't know how that works, because when they made the sequel movie, they ignored all of the sequel books and just made a sequel to the movie.
Right, yep.
So, and he's in it, so they kind of got to factor that in. It'll be interesting.
Interesting.
Trainspotting fans should be excited for it.
Well, I mean, it's something that I really want to watch, so maybe I'll have to just, put it on and force myself and watch it so I can get into it, because I do love a good TV series.
Yeah, you've got in the movie you've got what's his name, Ewan McGregor, Johnny Lee Miller. Like it's a Kelly MacDonald. It's such a good cast.
Yeah, it's on the list. It is, and I have attempted it a couple of times. So here's to attempt number 3 or 4 or whatever it is.
Is there anything else you want to spit
That's
out
about it,
go?
because I had Chalamet on my list too. So we've been on the same page tonight, I reckon.
That's really good.
I mean, it does happen every now and then. Maybe it's the foreheads.
Yep. Yep. What are you advertising this week?
Nutella.
Excellent.
Yeah. Chocolate biscuits right here.
Nesquik.
Yeah. All chocolate based.
Awesome. Well, there's another, video, I guess we could call it that. Like whether it's good or not is for people to determine.
That's it. And I mean, we are great. So we've got to back ourselves.
In and of do I back us? That's the question. I don't know. Maybe we need to
Absolutely, you do.
Guess I wouldn't be here. Hey, this is episode 13, which is very Halloweeny.
Ooh. Well, it's not on a Friday, so
no.
I mean, we should have aligned all of that.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, you had a special mug. I should have asked you about that earlier.
No, that I just realised.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I don't have a Halloween mug. I need to get a Halloween mug.
Spooky.
Yeah. All right. Have we run the clock out? That's the question. I think we may have.
Yeah?
That's a good enough reason to stop.
Yeah, okay.
Will I see you next week?
I hope so.
Good. So do I.
Good.